Part 60. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 593. Tao Ran was originally just thinking randomly based on her findings, but her hypothesis made all the inferences seem to be confirmed. For example, Fantoild's contradiction. Because he voted for two masters. That's why Nai Hua knew that his father had an illegitimate daughter living outside, that's why he informed Nai Hua of Tang Zhu's test results, that's why he cooperated with Nai Hua to take action against Tang Zhu. For example, Nai Hua's ruthlessness. Preserving his reputation, status, power, and family property was only one of the reasons. Fear and jealousy of Tang Zhu's mental power, and fear that her extraordinary mental power would be revealed were the more important reasons. Therefore, even if Tang Zhu was exiled, he could not reassure them. Tang Zhu must die. But they can't do it very obviously. So they took advantage of the natural conditions of Planet Kot, injected Tang Zhu with injections, knocked her out and poisoned her, and then threw her into the inaccessible 8th district. Even if she doesn't starve to death, she will die from radiation. After death, he will become the meal of mutated birds, and no one will be able to find out. Tao Ran also found out that in the voting for the Alliance's military exercise competition, Nai Hua, a third-year student at the Alliance's 3rd Military Academy, ranked 4th in the Alliance's popularity vote and 1st in the 3rd Military Academy, and was the Rookie King. The most popular choice. Searching his personal life, we can find that as the son of Nai Ronghai, he received the best training. With and mental strength, he led his personal team and won the first place in the Mecha group in the Military Academy competition last year. Although he is young, his resume is eye-catching. Right now, he is working hard to win the title of Newcomer King and has mobilized many teachers and classmates to encourage him. This should be one of the reasons why Nai Hua must get rid of Tang Zhu, who is stronger than him. Tao Ran also found something even more unique. There is no such person as Tang Zhu in the entire star network system. Even Lane Star, where Tang Zhu has lived for 18 years, has no trace of her. Her high school does not have her name. On the map and community of Lane Star, the owner of the white Western-style building no longer has her name, and only has the surname Tang. All traces of Tang Zhu have been erased. It seems that Tang Zhu has never been to this world. He. Naturally, it cannot be Nai Hua who can achieve this step. He doesn't have that ability. It can only be Nai Ronghai. In order to completely eliminate this leverage against her, he was really ruthless. Nowadays, even if Tang Zhu leaves this exiled planet, she is still a truth Reno, a wanderer who no one will believe in her. And does Nai Ronghai's move further prove that Tang Yu's disappearance is also related to Nai Ronghai? Because Nai Ronghai can only ensure Tang Zhu's non-existence if he determines that Tang Yu will never appear, right? This, Tao Ran had to worry about Tang Yu's safety. Nai Ronghai is so vicious, maybe Tang Yu has been silenced? After all, only the mouth of the dead is the tightest. I felt very depressed. Tao Ran gritted his teeth and turned to another interview between Nai Ronghai and Nai Hua. Just posted it yesterday. Facing the reporter's condolences, Nai Ronghai patted his son on the shoulder in front of the hospital bed and said that he was very up-to-date and the most reassuring of his 3 children. He said that he was brave and resourceful and would become a great person in the future. Then they mentioned something that made Tao Ran even more unhappy. He said that a while ago, someone falsely accused him, Nai Ronghai, of having an illegitimate daughter and wanted to ruin his reputation. He was seriously ill at the time and could not defend himself. So Nai Hua went to seek confirmation, but by chance, he was attacked by interstellar pirates. Now they found out that this whole thing was a conspiracy. There was no illegitimate daughter, let alone interstellar pirates. They were all people with ulterior motives who took advantage of his injury and pretended to suppress their 8th army. Thanks to Nai Hua's adaptability, he saved the day. Although he was slightly injured, he finally returned successfully. In front of the reporter, Nai Ronghai also produced a lot of fake evidence of interstellar pirates, which made the reporter extremely angry. I, Nai Ronghai, have been upright and honest all my life, and I have never bothered to do those sneaky things. Those who do small tricks behind the scenes will be punished. This time, for the sake of the Alliance's face, I will not hold you accountable for the time being. But I must warn you, if you have the ability, come to the stage and we will use your strength to determine victory or defeat, not those dirty tricks. I also believe that only those who have the world in mind and are upright can lead the Alliance to go further and conquer a wider sea of stars. Tao Ran felt that he had met his match. There are actually talented actors in this world. Nai Ronghai's acting skills, image, and lines are absolutely powerful. It's the kind of thing where you direct and act yourself, and your one-man show can be just as successful and lively. Even the dirty things his son did, he can use them to bring out the most effective effects. It can also be used as a means to suppress opponents. Fortunately, he still has a sense of justice, speaks morally, and considers himself magnanimous. With such a bottomless father, no wonder he has raised such a son. No wonder the henchman is also a duplicitous scum. Because of this interview, public opinion was stirred up, and now the entire Star Network is discussing the plot against Nai Ronghai and the 7th Army. Which head of state candidate was responsible for it? Is it Johnny Fay again, or is it General He of the 13th Army who currently has the second highest approval rating and whose military strength is comparable to that of the 8th Army? After these doubts, Nai Ronghai's support rate has further improved. In unofficial polls, he has already moved far away from the second place. Tao Ran felt that she still had to hurry up. According to this progress, if Nai Ronghai really becomes the head of the Alliance, even if she can crush him physically and mentally, what's the use? By then, the security factor around him will definitely be at the highest level. Let alone retaliating against an interstellar leader, even getting close would be impossible. She has to leave this garbage planet quickly. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Jo Heiya pushed the door open a crack. "Sister, there are 5 minutes left before the half-hour disconnection time." "Yeah. I've almost checked it out. Can you give me these 5 minutes? I also want to know some news." Okay. Tao Ran quickly cleared the usage records and gave the optical brain to Jo Heiya. On the way back, both of them were quite silent. Jo Heiya seemed to have something on his mind suddenly. His expression was complicated, like laughter and sadness, and finally turned into laughter. In the end, it was he who spoke first. "Sister, what did you find out?" Tao Ran said bluntly, "I want to leave Kotstar." "Who doesn't want to?" Jo Heiya said, contrary to his previous words that told Tao Ran to don't even think about escaping. "You want to leave too? Don't you mean you want to become the overlord here like Lu 11? But sister, do you know? I have been on Kotstar for 20 years, and my enemy died the year before last. I have no fear anymore. I can go back and start my life again." He was very excited. "So sister, if he actually grabbed Tao Ran's sleeve, "if you can go back, can you take me with you?" Tao Ran shook his head. "You have said that it is difficult to escape, and you will die if you are not careful. I am not sure. Besides, why should I take you? Jo Heiya's physical fitness is much worse than hers. This is not something he asked for. Baggage. Sister, I have money." Jo Heiya's eyes lit up. "If I leave, I will be a multimillionaire. But what about you? The heroine who wears fast is really a boss." Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 594. Tao Ran felt that Jo Heiya might have misunderstood that she was a money-hungry person because she had been busy making money recently. Although, I have to say that she was moved. "If I'm right, you'll be a pauper after you leave." "Right. If you can take me away, I can give you half of my money. No, more than half. With money, you can walk among the stars and take revenge. On the contrary, you have no identity, no money, and no power, and can hardly move forward. Do you still want to spend time making money? Starship tickets, hover cars, weapons, and housing all cost money, right? Aren't you anxious for revenge? When will you get it? When you earn enough money. Universal Star Network is very strict and has a strict monitoring system. It can't be like Code Star Network. The government is too lazy to take care of it, so it allows you to defraud so much money. When the time comes, where will you make money? Joe Heiya said a lot. Taoran shouted, stop. Just tell me, where did you get your money, and what is your story? Concisely, tell it in 5 sentences. To put it simply, I was selling arms/fire with my brother. My brother was plotted and silenced. But the other party didn't expect that my brother also cheated them. The money given by the previous family was transferred to him long ago. Well, it was me who helped it was transferred, only I know where it is. Later, they came to me and asked for money. I was not stupid. If I gave the money to them, I would definitely be silenced. I could only say that I didn't know, so I hung them up and asked someone to help clear it up. Later, I was thrown to planet caught by them. If they thought I couldn't survive here, they would definitely give me an explanation. They would come to me every 2 or 3 years and ask for the money. They tried all kinds of coercion and inducement. I didn't know it until I died, but I gritted my teeth and survived on the planet Cod. I really didn't expect that they were wiped out, and they made war profits and were snatched away in one fell swoop. So, I'm not afraid anymore. If I could leave, I could live a nurturing life. I can't use up that money, let's leave together and share it together. Taoran couldn't promise him anything. She didn't even know how to leave yet. But Joe Heiya was right. If he has money outside, it will be the best support and protection for her, and it can save time to the greatest extent. In the following days, Taoran received treatment in the morning, physical and mental training in the afternoon, and mainly practiced mining in the evening. After she got rich, she unlocked several advanced training rooms dedicated to stimulating her mental strength and insisted on practicing for 3 hours every day. In conjunction with her soul training, she could sense that Tangzhu's mental power was improving a little bit every day. Recently, she only occasionally put on a vest and went to the arena ring to play a few games. The purpose of practicing was more than making money. She worked so hard that everyone in the team was inevitably stimulated. Everyone is obviously much more motivated than before. Especially Mu Guang. Now the entire Cation knew that he had a fiancée, and everyone was laughing at him. He was so stimulated that he stayed in the practice room longer than Taoran for several days. Joe Heiya spent most of the money he earned previously on equipment investment. He upgraded a lot of holographic equipment, and also installed a professional training ground for his brothers to practice physical fitness at his residence. He also formulated a training plan and supervised it personally. He tells everyone on the team every day that their goal for this competition is not to enter the finals, but to win first place. And now the physical training is to prepare for the finals. The official mining competition has finally begun. At least half of the people in the entire Kotstar participated in this competition. Because of the huge number of participants, it is impossible to do it all together. Therefore, the preliminaries were divided into 4 groups by drawing lots and were conducted in different periods. Each team will have 3 days and 3 nights to randomly drop ores in the game's mountainous area. The top 16 will be determined by submitting the number of ores officially required. 3 days after the preliminaries, there will be a preliminary round of 16 to 8 teams. At that time, 16 teams will participate in activities together. According to the elimination system, 1 team will be eliminated every 3 hours, leaving only the last 8 teams for the finals. The final is no longer a game. 8 teams of more than 200 people will come to the mines in District 2 for an on-site mining competition. In the preliminaries, Jo Haeya's group was drawn in the first group. Tao Ran and Mugwang each led a team, one during the day and one at night, and easily advanced to the top 16. By the end of the preliminaries, Tao Ran's legs had almost recovered. Body radiation and wound radiation have basically been cleared. A few days before the preliminary competition, Tao Ran underwent plastic surgery. The level of medical treatment in the interstellar era has made a huge leap forward. Such surgery has almost no risks, and the time for removing sutures has also been greatly reduced. If nothing else goes wrong, by the time the preliminary round is over, her appearance will completely look like Tao's. 16-8, for Jo Haeya's team, which had only one A-level spiritual power user before, the hope would be slim. But now, Jo Haeya is not worried at all. This competition, to put it bluntly, is to select people with high mental strength. Especially before the finals, the physical strength of each player in the game does not matter at all. With a mascot like Tao, entering the finals will not be a problem. He was just curious, wondering what the mental power of this Tao Buran he knew was S or S+. Mugwang said that although he worked hard, he was losing faster and faster to Tao Oran. He suspected that she had at least S and mental strength. S+. That's even better than Lu 11. If this was not exiled, he should be a figure that every government and every army must fight for. Jo Haeya didn't tell Tao Ran that although he only had 5 minutes to go to the Star Network that day, he still took the time to search for the name Tao Buran on the KOT Network's Exile website. No information was found. He also searched for Tang Zhu. He remembered that on the day they met, the name she first revealed was Tang Zhu. But there is no such name in the public list. Even in the public notice, there was no information about the Bhutan spacecraft in those days. How can that be possible? Erpai watched their aircraft come down with his own eyes. This is the exile planet, and there are many dangers and important people here. Therefore, if an aircraft on any planet does not have a pass certificate, it is absolutely impossible to come and leave at will. This is strange. Someone erased the traces. Thinking of someone not giving Tao a chance to survive, and thinking of her changing her name and getting plastic surgery, he could only conclude that Tao's exile information had been deleted, and she must have offended a big shot outside. The more this happened, the more Jo Haeya felt that following Tao was the only way he could escape from here. So lately he has been almost obedient to Tao Ran. For example, when entering the preliminary round, the layout and goals of the team members were all dictated by Tao Ran. We put all our strength in the finals. In this preliminary round, our goal is to place 6 to 7, deceive others, and barely make it to the finals. They are inconspicuous now, but the odds of them winning first place in the finals will be higher, and they can make more money, right? Hiding one's strength and biding one's time will also allow the Luxi team, which is determined to win, to focus as little attention on them as possible. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 595. Starting from the preliminary round, the entire competition process will be broadcast live on Star Network. KOT Star people can see the real-time dynamics of each team on the Star Network. This is a grand event that only happens once every 10 years, and the people are all in high spirits. It's not that they want to know who will win, who will get rich, and who will get the final mining rights, but they can place bets, both official and private, and the opportunity is rare. If you bet well, you can earn more. Jo Haeya's team suddenly became popular after the last arena incident. The team that won the fairy-like little beauty will never be forgotten even if they want to. They are being remembered and there are many people buying, so the odds are naturally not high. They became the second most watched group after Lu 11's team. This means that they no longer have the opportunity to make big money in an upset. For this reason, everyone in the team re-educated Mu Guang. Mu Guang also regretted it. If he had known that his impulsive self-exposure would bring about financial losses and the consequences of being bound to the little fairy, he would not have said a word even if he was beaten to death. So, Chaoran spent half a day summoning everyone in the team to the activity room and taught an acting class. The preliminary round begins. Zhou Heiya's team in the Star Network live broadcast was high-spirited and high-spirited. But reality gave them a loud slap in the face. Although they had high hopes, they worked hard throughout the process, but the results were not satisfactory. I don't know if they were unlucky, but the team was busy in the randomly dropped area for a long time, and they didn't dig out many limited ores. The results are just in the middle and lower reaches, in the elimination circle. Later, their team actually had differences. A group of people want to continue where they are, and a group of people want to change places. Little Fairy and Mu Guang also had different opinions, and the two even quarreled over this. The young couple made a big fuss, and finally Mu Guang stamped his feet and left the team with a few supporters. The little fairy sat on the ground and started to cry. Zhou Heiya and others were busy comforting her, and the progress of the entire team slowed down even more. Before their eyes, their results slipped from fifth to last to second to last. Many netizens are disappointed with this team. What a big deal, no future. It's only been more than 2 hours, and there are already differences. How can such a team want to go to the end? I thought that even if the two AA mental power players could not compete with S-class powerhouses, they would at least be able to enter the top 8, but now it seems that this is just a dream. Just like that, their approval ratings began to decline. When 3 hours are up, the team in last place is eliminated. Then, Zhou Heiya's team became the last one. Zhou Heiya lost his temper, and while contacting Mu Guang to ask him to come back, he educated the little fairy. Others in the team either shook their heads or sighed. The whole team was complaining and had no fighting spirit. Zhou Heiya tried his best to persuade him, but the little fairy was aggrieved and refused to respond, remaining silent. An hour later, Mu Guang and his men came back. During this period, Zhou Heiya and the others ridiculously only submitted 3 pieces of basic ore due to the lack of judgment from mentalists. Fortunately, Mu Guang finally gained something along the way, bringing their results back to the bottom 2 again. So close. Not long after Mu Guang came back, the last team was eliminated again. Zhou Heiya's team once again became the last one. Captain Zhou Heiya was very sincere, showed his cohesion, and asked the team members to work hard, but he couldn't stand the little fairy Tejuo, so she asked her fiancé to apologize. Mu Guang refused. "Why did you promise me before that you would protect me? If I had known you were such a guy, I wouldn't be with you," the little fairy said angrily, causing the arrogant Mu Guang to curse. "It's too late now. Let's go. Find someone who treats you well," he said directly that he was tired and wanted to quit the game. "You dare." As a result, Zhou Heiya was angry and punched him directly, and the two of them fought. After a few minutes, the two were separated by the team members. The little fairy helped Zhou Heiya up, "Let him go. If we don't ask him, I can lead the team to find the ore." Next, the hard-working little fairy led the team to search for ore, while Mu Guang stood aside and watched the process without taking any action. The little fairy is very active, but how useful is it? 2 hours later, she and her team members have been working hard to mine, but only have a half success rate. The game settings are changing, it is approaching dusk, strong winds are rising, and heavy rain is coming. The visibility was not good and the progress of all teams was slowed down. Zhou Heiya's team was trapped in a valley because of the heavy rain. Probably, This is also the luck of Jo Haeya's team. Although they are not capable enough, the mineral resources in this valley are actually quite rich. When the submission speed of other teams almost stopped, they finally relied on their bad luck to submit a lot of ores in one go. They finally got rid of the last two players and could take a breath for the time being. But even so, they were only the third to last team, with only 5 more ores than the second to last team. At this time, 5 teams had been eliminated from the competition. Mugwang probably felt that he was completely worthless, so he suddenly went offline. Jo Haeya was furious and called for Mugwang to come online, but to no avail. The little fairy lost control of her emotions again. At this point, Erpai sent a message saying that regardless of the official market or private betting, their team's support rate had been falling, and they were even scolded. Of course, the artillery fire was mainly focused on Mugwang. Some people even made a counter bet, saying that if their team could advance, they would live stream their hair upside down on the toilet. During the game, after the rain stopped, the team, which was in a low mood, ran out of resources and gained nothing for half an hour. The little fairy was obviously very tired, and they had to change places to mine again. The little fairy was exhausted, and finally Jo Haeya went offline and brought Mugwang back. Mugwang reluctantly took over little fairy's job and barely managed to keep their team from being eliminated. But the little fairy acted alone and disappeared to nowhere. There was still 1 hour before the final elimination, and they were still in 9th place. Seeing that they were helpless and unable to advance, the little fairy who had been wandering around submitted more than 20 ores in one go, instantly raising their score to 7th place. Netizens who have been paying attention to the little fairy know where her ore comes from. Because she was pitiful and was able to act alone, she was attracted by several teams. Everyone heard that she and Mugwang had a conflict. The finals were coming soon, so naturally the stronger the team, the better. For example, the team closest to them, currently in 3rd place, faced her asking for ore. In order to gain favor with her, they generously gave her 5 UN. Even the Luxi team specifically targeted her and found someone to give it to her. 8 ores. In this way, at the last moment, Jo Haeya's team finally entered the finals in 7th place. But their strength was also noticed by the caught people. Rubbish. Luck. Honey trap. Dream on. No matter whether the little fairy goes or stays, this team cannot vote. Look at the live broadcast, Mugwang is still pointing at the little fairy's nose and scolding her for being watery. This team cannot be supported at all. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 596. With everyone's performance and cooperation, the goal of the preliminary round was achieved, and Taoran's plastic surgery was completed. She is very happy with her face. Taoran's face was adjusted to her original appearance by using ice muscle training. Seeing the familiar face now, she felt much better. The time is also just right. The finals of the mining competition are held on the spot, with real people participating. She could finally show up with a face without scruples. If she hadn't made the immediate decision to undergo plastic surgery, she would not have dared to take risks with Tangzhu's face in front of the people who were clamoring to see the little fairy's true face. It's good now. When her face and name appear on the Kotstar network, if Mr. Bai is nearby, I hope he can find her. After the preliminary round, many people came to offer olive branches. But Taoran and Mugwang reconciled again. Faced with the solicitations, she could only thank them one by one and refuse them. Many people were dissatisfied with her back and forth attitude, and were unhappy with their team, especially the Lu 11 team. After being used several times, their eyes were full of hostility. Taoran disagreed with this. Jo Haeya used this point to warn all the team members, if you don't succeed, you will be punished. If we don't get first place in the finals, we will definitely suffer hardships and even be in danger if we are remembered in the future. But as long as we get the first place first, we are the overlord of this planet, and with official protection, Lu 11 doesn't dare to do anything to us. A number of team members expressed concern. But Zhou Heiya was extremely confident. When has Tao Er ever let us down? Since she came, everyone's living standards have improved by leaps and bounds. Don't you still believe in her? Originally, they didn't even have the goal of entering the top 16, they just wanted to find as many ores as possible in the preliminaries to exchange for star coins. What now? Not only did they enter the finals, they also received many awards and bonuses. The bonus for entering the top 8 is a full 10,000 coins. The final is scheduled for 10 days. Tao Ran's leg has fully recovered. She was finally free from a wheelchair. She started to practice physical fitness. The final will be held in a mountainous area, and climbing over mountains and ridges requires a lot of physical strength. In the finals, you still need to actually mine the ore, and both physical and mental strength will be indispensable. How could she slack off? Tang Zhu's physical strength level was B, and according to Fang Te's last test, and his talent was pretty good, so Tao Ran used this body to practice martial arts, almost getting twice the result with half the effort. In a few days, she was able to master Yutong's several sets of boxing and sword skills. Ancient martial arts were too useless in the face of the high technology of the interstellar era, so they have long since declined and been lost during development. But in fact, this skill is actually very useful on the Kot planet where there are no powerful weapons. So every time Tao Ran started practicing martial arts, he would be surrounded by a bunch of younger brothers. She didn't hide anything, she taught anyone who wanted to learn. Except for Mu Guang. He didn't want to learn at all, but Tao Ran insisted on teaching him. Without him, Tao Ran was afraid that he would be too weak to walk during the finals and would be too much to bear, which would drag everyone down. So after the preliminaries, Tao Ran dragged him to start with internal skills and mental techniques, combined with various bodybuilding potions, forcing him to practice for 18 hours every day. Tao Ran, are you sick? Mu Guang, you are so sick. You're not sick, why don't you practice? You're not sick, so why can't you even reach the physical level of Erpai's mother? You are worse than an ordinary person who has given birth to a child, don't you be ashamed. As we all know, physical fitness is much easier to train than mental strength. Soon, we will be the first team, but your physical strength is at the bottom of the Kot star. I am ashamed for you. Let me tell you, if you don't improve your physical strength before the finals, I will announce to everyone in Kot Star that the reason why we broke up is that you are not good at that. You're not afraid of embarrassment anyway. Just enough for everyone on the planet to help me make fun of you. You. Mu Guang's fingers trembled with anger, vicious woman. You poisonous woman. Tao Ran ignored him and left directly. Mu Guang could only throw the pillow in his hand at Zhou Heiya. You were the one who rescued her. You knew that I was in poor health, but you still indulged her like this. You value sex over friends, and you don't know what's good or bad. You're dignified. A team leader is being led by a woman. If I am embarrassed, you will be even more embarrassed. Zhou Heiya didn't care about him. He dragged him up and threw him directly into the room that had just been installed to practice physical strength and reflexes. Then he heard a series of screams and curses coming from inside. Well, it's a boxing room. As soon as the practice starts, fists will be thrown from 8 directions, it depends on whether you can dodge or not. Zhou Heiya set the lowest difficulty level for Mu Guang and told him that he could only leave this room if he passed the level. As a result, Mu Guang was forced to live in a cycle of practicing, taking medicine, and continuing to practice after his physical strength recovered. He was miserable, but no one in the team helped him. Instead, everyone listened to Tao Buran's instigation to supervise him. He complained a lot, until the day before the finals. He found that during the simulation test in the E-level physical room, his ability value finally exceeded the threshold for the first time in 3 years. At that moment, he had mixed feelings and couldn't curse anymore. Perhaps he is the kind of person who must be pushed forward, and is only willing to push himself to a breakthrough when he is under heavy pressure and has no way out. At this point, he was grateful to Na Tao or not. Tao Ran's focus was much more than that of his brothers. 6 days before the finals, she received a message. 5 days before the game, she received a similar message. For 3 days in a row, she got the news. But for the next 2 days, there was no news. Everything was pretty much what she expected. The game was about to start in 2 days, so Tao Ran called out to Zhou Heiya. "Let's go to the Kurt government with me." It turned out that after entering the finals, Tao Ran asked Zhou Heiya to send someone to keep an eye on the captains of other teams 24 hours a day. She didn't need to know too much detail, she just wanted to know if they would go to the Kurt government. Zhou Heiya didn't know why. But 5 days ago, a robot arrived at the residence of the second-place team in the preliminaries, and then the captain of that team went to the Kurt government. 4 days ago, the third-place team was visited by a robot. Similarly, their captain went to District 1 after dark and entered the government-controlled building. 3 days ago, the same thing happened to the fourth-place team. Tao Ran, if the Code government organizes this competition to take away the mining rights of the Luxi team, they must first ensure that there is a successor team. To be precise, they must ensure that the successor team must be what their government needs. What is the attitude, thoughts, and plans of the team that will take over? These are all things that Kurt officials must consider. Can it be used? Do you want to listen or not? Will it be the second Lu-11 team? Officials definitely care about this. If the team that takes over is not good, they may not replace the Luxi team. So I guess the officials will ensure that the first place in the finals is the team they want. The possibility of a shady plot cannot be ruled out. This is a game organized by Kurt officials for their own benefit. Do you want absolute fairness? Impossible. Tao Ran patted Zhou Heiya on the shoulder. "Brother, if you want to win first place, you must first be officially recognized. Otherwise, they have many ways to make you not even qualified. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss." Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 597. After Zhou Heiya sent people to keep an eye on the other 7 teams that advanced to the finals and found out that they had secret meetings with the officials, Zhou Heiya knew that Tao had a clear understanding of the official psychology. They waited for another 2 days, but the robot stopped moving. Obviously, the officials did not take into consideration the teams ranked at the bottom. "We can't get into the eyes of the officials," Zhou Heiya was depressed. No wonder, the day before yesterday, when he asked his brothers to place money on his team to bet on the first place, Tao Boran stopped them. She said she had to wait. At that time Zhou Heiya thought she was waiting for a suitable odds, but now he understood that what she was waiting for was official confirmation. Yes, for such a big thing as mining rights, if it is not officially recognized, even if they can become number 1 in terms of strength, what about the reality? Officials have plenty of ways to prevent them from winning the championship. So Zhou Heiya was a little disappointed in the past 2 days. He thought that the worst plan was to choose 1 or 2 of the 3 teams visited by the official and take a gamble. No, today he just started researching which team might be more popular with the government, and here Tao Oran came over and called him. "If we're not invited, we can still recommend ourselves," Tao Ran said calmly. "Is there such a chance?" "Certainly. Don't tell me that you expected things to come to this point." In fact, Zhou Heiya regretted it. In the preliminary round, they should not hide their strength. If we had put in 100% effort earlier, we would definitely be in the top 4 now, and we would have been officially recruited. "Sister, you made a mistake, admit it." "I didn't miscalculate." Tao Ran shook his head. "So far, everything is still within my expectations and calculations. Let me tell you this, even if we make it to the top 4 in the preliminary round, we, a group of rabble in the eyes of the officials, will not be able to catch their eye. The other 3 teams all have hundreds of people, have serious bases, and have serious work. At first glance, he looks much better than these unreliable vagrants. So it has never been easy for them to get official recognition. Let's go. Go to Area 1. Joheiya looked at her steadily. She was confident and determined, with firm eyes and a smile on her face. He was immediately full of confidence. Damn it, he believed she could leave this planet. What else could he doubt? Have you decided what to say? Yet Chaoran glanced at him. So, please stop talking later. That's fine, he didn't know what to say. Then what do I do? Just nod, smile, and say dot. A district. When the two were still 3 kilometers away from the government building, the hovercar was stopped. Then a robot came up to ask questions. Chaoran introduced himself and said, I want to meet the person in charge of this mining competition. Please tell him that our team has a big secret about the competition that we want to share with him. When fishing, you have to lay bait. If you don't whet the opponent's appetite, who would care to pay attention to the two of them? Chaoran's words were immediately conveyed through the robot system. A minute later, a mosaic of a human face appeared on the LCD screen on the robot's chest, asking them what was going on. Chaoran repeated it again that she had a secret to tell. Secrets about the game. Very important, she emphasized. Then come in. 10 minutes. As Chaoran guessed, the man's appetite was indeed whetted. The competition is officially organized, but now one of the top 8 teams has discovered the secret. They are naturally curious. The competition is about to start in 2 days, and it involves mining rights, so they have to be careful. Just one person can come in, just the captain, the person on the screen demanded. I'm sorry, sir, Chaoran smiled harmlessly, our captain took the wrong medicine this morning. His throat was poisoned and he can't make a sound for the time being. You just took the wrong medicine. No matter how harshly Joheiya scolded him in his heart, he could only nod and smile on his face. Don't worry. I know what our captain has to say, and I will speak for him. I'll go in with our captain, okay. The person on the screen looked at Chaoran and probably saw that she was a woman, so he made an exception and nodded. Subsequently, the two passed the security scan of the machine, and after confirming that they had no weapons on them, they were taken into a vehicle that could not see the outside. When they got off the bus, they were in front of an elevator. A minute later, the robot took them to a room and served them 2 drinks. After all, the official atmosphere was enough to give juice. Joheiya took a taste and found that this was definitely not produced by Ketsing. Thinking that it was a good thing that traveled across light years, he couldn't help but drink it to the bottom. Maybe I will never be able to drink this good stuff again in my life. If you don't drink it, you won't drink it? The robot actually gave him a refill. What Joheiya didn't expect was that Tao Huan, who was usually aloof, would be similar to him. He drank a large glass in one gulp and tasted the aftertaste, as if he hadn't tasted anything good in 800 years. What's the matter? Someone's voice came, but no real person was seen. Chaoran said. In this competition, our team is determined to win and will definitely take first place. Because we have deliberately hidden our strength in previous competitions, our team actually has an A and mental ability user and an S capable person. That's it? In terms of mental strength, we are no worse than Lu 11 and others. Chaoran changed her mind temporarily, fearing that the other party would not even show up to socialize, so she had no choice but to get straight to the point. In mining these days, is it really physical strength that is the weakest thing? Machines can replace 99% of labor, so in the final analysis, what the official is looking for is a spiritual person who can finally prospect for minerals. S-level young people are naturally not bad compared to S-level middle-aged Lu 11. Sure enough, 10 seconds later, a man came into their room. Finally willing to see them, Taoran breathed a sigh of relief and drank another half glass of juice. Taoran didn't know him, so Zhou Heiya naturally knew. The one who came here was the person in charge of this mining competition. He was the one who hosted the press conference for the competition. His name was Ness. Taoran, you only need to watch the preliminary round for a moment to see that we have been letting our guard down. Our strength is far beyond what we have revealed. Nise is already watching the video at 128x speed. This browsing speed and mental strength are at least A+, right? If you have the strength, why hide it? 2 reasons. One is that there is a bit of a gap between us and Lu 11, and we are afraid that we will be punished if we show our talents. But more importantly, we want to make money. Taoran was blunt. We just want to make odds. If the odds are high and people don't like us, we can make money. We just want to make money. When it comes to making odds, Ness is somewhat convinced. He saw all kinds of drama, changes in love, quarrels, fights, and running away from this team in the preliminary round. It was all as absurd as a novel. Obviously they didn't show much strength, but in the end they were lucky enough to make it to the finals. Judging from the current odds, Zhou Heiya's team has the highest odds. If they were upset, wouldn't they lose money? Go on. Nise became interested. So, what do they want? Why come? What is the purpose of telling everything? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 598. When Zhou Heiya heard Taoran reveal that he had manipulated the odds, a cold sweat broke out on his back. This is an official disc. Where did she leave the authorities? How dare she say that? But he didn't expect that Nanas not only didn't get angry, but also had a smile on his face, and his eyes were obviously very interested. He asked, "What's the gap between you and Lu 11? Taoran, because of me, he spent a lot of money unjustly. It was a bit embarrassing, but if you look at the arena ring a while ago, you can understand what happened to the little fairy." Ness used his brain in his hand to quickly switch content, and after searching, he came up with several videos of the little fairy that attracted much attention that night, and her several upsets in the ring. He also saw that the Lu 11 team also went to recruit, and smashed a lot of coins in one go. But the little fairy was won over by a sickly man in the end. "So, you are the little fairy?" "I am." "In your team, you are the one with S mental strength," Ness immediately determined. "The one who can speak on behalf of the captain must be the strongest in the team." "Yes." Taoran, later, the Luxi team recruited me elsewhere and spent a lot of money on me. He was very interested in me and wanted to get me back to give him a child, but my team and I rejected him. All the demands. So now he is very dissatisfied with me and our team. So our team must win first place, otherwise our team may not be able to keep me. And our team will also be affected by me. Ness believed it. Nothing wrong. There are few women on this planet. There are even fewer women who are suitable for marriage and childbearing. Marriage girls with strong mental strength are even rarer. And this woman is quite pleasing to the eye, no wonder Lu 11 spends a lot of money on her several times. Lu 11's ambitions are not small. If he gets the mining rights again this time, there is really no guarantee that he will not take revenge on them. Taoran's acting skills have improved again. She burst into tears. "I already have a fiancé. I just want to live a good life, have a child with my beloved in the future, and live a happy and peaceful life as a family. Everyone in our team has come from poverty step by step, and it is not easy to have the stability we have today. We have nothing, there are no requirements for culture, I just want to follow the government and live a stable life. Faced with Ness's observation, Taoran was sincere, and every tear was so sincere that she would not betray him. Not only did she get tissues to wipe her tears, but she also got a glass of hot milk to stabilize her mood. Holy shit. God knows that Taoran felt like crying even more when he saw the milk. It would be better if there is a cup of hot coffee. Ness suddenly changed the subject. So, you have such high mental power, but you still lost to your team Mugwang in the ring. Can I think that you were cheating at that time? You were already with Mugwang at that time, right? That night, you made a lot of money, right? Your method is similar to the odds calculation this time. Zhou Heiya's throat felt tight and he almost sat down on the ground. If you are caught cheating in the arena, your money will be confiscated, or you will be caught and severely punished. If that happens, not only will the game be ruined, but they won't be able to pay the fine. He was sweating nervously and kicked Taoran, signaling her to deny it immediately. Taoran didn't even look at him. Sir, I confess, please don't pursue that matter. I did deliberately compete in the ring that night, but the actual purpose was to make money. At that time, she choked, tears rolling down her face again. At that time, Mugwang and I wanted to get married, but we couldn't even afford artificial apples. I just wanted to make some money, so, sir, I must have never lived in the 5th and 6th districts, so I don't know how difficult it is to live there. Zhou Heiya glanced at her. Why does this woman come so easily? It seems like she has lived in the 56th district. Taoran Balabala wiped her tears and talked about many difficulties in life. During the most difficult times, I drank a tube of basic nutrient solution over 2 days. When I was beaten and had no money for treatment, I could only watch the wound rot. A brother died on the street because he had no money for surgery. Zhou Heiya didn't dare to raise his head after hearing this, for fear of being seen with the ridiculous expression on his face. We are really scared of poverty. We just want to live a better life. Our team only has one dream. We hope to have a stable life in Kotstar, no longer be bullied, not forced by life, and have a job and income. That's enough. If we can work for the government, then there's nothing more we can ask for. Ness had been observing her, sensing her ups and downs of emotions with her words. Seeing her emotional expressions, only a third of the juice and the milk carefully held in her trembling hands, the smile on his face also changed. Gradually it became apparent. So, let's be clear, what do you want when you come to me? Just tell me. It was another 15 minutes before the conversation ended completely. Taoran had a smile on his face, but Zhou Heiya didn't dare to speak until he was sitting on his hover car. They received a clear answer from Chief Nais: as long as you are ranked in the top 4 at the end of the first 3 days of the finals, my secretary will contact you. Do you know what this means? Taoran asked Zhou Heiya. Does it mean we fell into his eyes? It means that even if we are 4th, we will still be his first choice. This wave is stable. Before coming here, Taoran was not only worried about the inside story of the game, but he was also not completely sure about his team. After all, Lu 11 has been running a mine for 10 years, but they have only done this in the game. Experience is also a type of strength, right? So she had to come and find out. Her guess was correct. The fact that Ness had such an in-depth conversation with her actually meant that there was a lot of maneuverability involved. Ness didn't mention how strong Lu 11's team is at all, and didn't even remind him. It can be seen that Lu 11's team has indeed been officially kicked out. But I still don't understand why we became their first choice. Taoran, because the few points I gave went straight to the heart of that Nais. First of all, she laid out her feud with Lu 11. As far as she had to bring down Lu 11, it was consistent with the official purpose and they could cooperate with each other. To be more precise, they use each other. Secondly, because they are afraid of being retaliated by Lu-11, their team will definitely go all out this time, without reservation and with all their strength. And if the government helps them, they will burst into tears and dedicate themselves to helping the government. Next, they come from the lower class, are vulgar, greedy, and short-sighted. At least, that's what Taoran and Zhou Heiyi reveal. Asked why Lu-11's team was officially cleared? Because he knew too much and wanted too much, he challenged the official bottom line. But they are just the opposite. They come from the lower classes, and the more vulgar they are, the easier they are to manipulate. They are terrified and afraid of being beaten back to their original shape, so they dare not challenge the government at all. This is also the official favorite. Taoran also expressed to Ness several times that he was politically correct and just wanted to make a living with the government. What a simple dream. Of course, the most important thing is what? We love money. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 599. A money-hungry team, this is what the authorities like to hear most. People who are greedy for money are much easier to control than ambitious people. And what the Kot government does not lack most is Kot currency. What is Kot coin? It is issued and used by the Kot Star government itself. If we put this on an alien planet, it would be just a pile of waste paper. For the officials, the 10,000 coin bonus they gave to each finalist team may not be as valuable as their glass of juice. Think about it, with a pile of waste paper, you can make a bunch of poor people nod and bend down to work for them. This will undoubtedly maximize their interests. Not only will they be tempted, but they will also be quite satisfied. But I believe that the other teams will not be so easy to talk to. When they talk to the government, they will definitely want more, such as materials, territory, treatment, and they may even ask for amnesty. But Taoran is just the opposite. She wants nothing but serving the government. Official people are most afraid of trouble. Based on this alone, we are already their best choice. As for their previous fraud in the arena, not only did they not suffer any loss to the official, but they also received a lot of commission. They won't care at all. So, I created a money-loving character and spent so much time making odds to convince the officials that our team is quite money-loving. Ness recognized this. In addition, our sudden visit and self-recommendation will make Nye suspicious. Is there someone in the three teams he was looking for who has leaked the conversation with the official? Well, that's how I provoked it. Taoran had long felt that since the small mining rights allowed the officials to work so hard and seemed to be manipulated by Lu-11's team, there was no guarantee that the officials had any handle or secrets that Lu-11 and the others had caught. In view of this, it can be seen that what the official wants is an obedient and tight-lipped team. So if she provokes them like this, those three teams will definitely not be able to get into the eyes of the officials. Then, they are the only ones left. Zhou Heiyi looked at Taoran speechless for a long time. So when did this woman start planning? Arena? Or the preliminary round? We can really win, right? Yes. You can let the brothers place bets. Taoran was sure. The finals will begin. 8 teams will travel to officially designated mining areas. There, they will draw lots to randomly determine their initial positions. After the game starts, they can go their separate ways. The official will provide mining equipment, auxiliary machines, and robots. Each team follows official requirements and aims to find, dig and submit the required ores, and is finally ranked based on the weight of each ore submitted. The purity of the ore and its net weight excluding impurities will be determined by robots. The 8 teams will compete for 72 hours first. When the time is up, 4 of them will be eliminated based on their results. Over the next 48 hours, 2 more teams will be eliminated. The remaining 2 teams will be divided into 2 halves, and it will take 2 full days to decide the final winner. It took a total of 7 days to get to the end. Each team's work and rest time can be set by themselves. On the day when the finals started, Taoran's team, totaling 33 people, boarded the official car. People watched the live broadcast and couldn't help but laugh at them again. The maximum number of people could be 35, but this team didn't even reach the full number. Who doesn't know that one more person brings more strength, even if it's just doing odd jobs, moving supplies, and setting up a tent? What a laugh. No one looks down on their team. Looking at the little fairy again, I finally saw her face. Well, everyone's impression was of the beautiful image of the little fairy. Now that they saw her true appearance, most people were inevitably disappointed. Although it is pretty good looking, it is still far inferior to the little fairy, disappointed. This made many people turn their attention away from Johei's team. They were taken to Area 1. Entering the mining area, the entire vehicle windows were turned dark and they could not see anything. Draw lots online to determine their starting area is in the northwest. When the car stopped, they were already in the mine. In order to make the competition fair and just, the mining area for the competition is a new area that has never been opened before, the robot told coldly. I wish you all good results. The moment the car door opened, a gust of wind blew. Taoran's eyes widened instantly. What's wrong? Johei asked, concerned. It's okay, I like it here, Taoran said. At that moment, she sensed spiritual energy. She rushed out of the car. As soon as I immerse myself in it, I immediately feel like my soul is swaying. It is really spiritual. Even the green ball in her soul jumped. Unlike before, the spiritual energy is not dissipated in the air, but... Taoran looked at the mines. The spiritual energy emanated from the mines. There is a spiritual vein here. She could almost smell the aroma of the green spirit stone. Move. I was so moved that I wanted to cry. Looking up at the sky, this time, God finally treated her well. This is also an opportunity. Once she finds the spiritual stone, she can practice well. When she thought about winning the game and being able to take root in this area, she became excited. I'm afraid what the official wants is the spirit stone, right? That's great, she doesn't even use mental power, she just knows where the spirit stone mine is by instinct. Johei pushed her hard. What are you thinking about? The ore has been released. On the tray in the robot's hand, there are 4 kinds of ores needed for the current stage of the competition. Taoran said, ha. She went up and picked up the 4 ores one by one and looked at them. Officially, what she wanted was not a spiritual stone. Those 4 pieces were not the spiritual stones she wanted. Game start. Taoran was completely affected by the spirit stones. Half an hour later, her body and soul were automatically following the spirit veins. She couldn't concentrate on sensing the 4 kinds of ores given by the official. An hour later, the entire team was led by Muguang alone. As for Muguang, he was easily influenced by others. Taoran's inaction and the pressure put on him directly reduced his strength. Not surprisingly, after 3 hours, their team was not only at the bottom, but also at the bottom with a huge gap. Johei thought that Taoran was still deliberately making odds and not doing anything. He was calm and composed at first. It was not until another hour passed that he went to the tent to talk to Taoran and found that she was sweating and her face was pale. He then understood. There is a real problem. Poor Taoran, she really had no choice. She knew that the body's instinct to search for spiritual energy was most likely because of the green mass in the soul, so now she could only unkindly use the sealing method taught by the old man, sealing the spirit from left to right. She remembered that the old man said that this was the easiest way to deal with the wood spirit energy. At the same time, she also refined her soul. With a powerful soul, the suppression ability will also increase, right? She also remembered that she had refined a drop of King Chi's blood. When it was running, it should also have a suppressive effect. She used all the skills she had learned to treat a dead horse as a living horse doctor. She didn't know if it would work, but she had to give it a try. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 600. In the live broadcast, after the first day, the Luxi team was far ahead. They are rich in experience, and only 60% of their strength is enough to crush other teams. As for Zhou Heiyi's team, the little fairy Tao is still hiding in the tent without even showing her face. And their results were more than 10 times worse than the Luxi team. Mu Guang, who has A and mental strength, is also below par. His several attempts just now failed, and he was so anxious that he scratched his hair. The dejection, heaviness, and impatience of the entire team can be seen with the naked eye. Ness is also paying attention to Zhou Heiyi's team. Seeing that the strongest king in their team remained motionless, Ness thought they were conserving their strength. But seeing the first day pass like this, Ness had to wonder, maybe this team was boasting about themselves that day? Ness decided to focus on observing the 3 teams he had previously selected. At dawn, the game entered its second day. Ness suddenly discovered that Zhou Heiyi's team had climbed to 7th place at some point. Looking again, they had changed places. Didn't they have any rest last night? Did they move somewhere in the middle of the night? Is it to deceive others? Moreover, the light was not good in the second half of the night, so it was quite difficult for them to take the mining photos. But how did they do it so efficiently? Ness immediately cheered up. He found that the people in Zhou Heiyi's team were not the most capable, but they were the most persistent. Look, other people's spiritual masters and captains are sitting there giving orders, but their team is from Zhou Heiyi to Tao Buran, and that weakling Mu Guang is grinding his teeth and working hard. All of them were sweating profusely, but their hands didn't stop. Drink the potion when you are tired, and continue working after drinking the potion. This is because you are determined to win this competition. Little did Ness know that that team had actually become accustomed to this kind of life recently. Everyone in the team has been locked up in a small dark room, where everyone has experienced the cycle of physical training, taking medicine, practicing again, and everyone is not allowed to come out if they fail to meet the requirements. People are all forced out. Tao Ran's harsh demands not only increased their physical strength to some extent, but also temporarily eliminated their lazy will. Now when it comes time to accept the results, they are not only more able to handle tasks, but also more excited. Ness didn't even know that even though everyone was working hard, Tao Ran was still telling everyone that if they lost, they would go back to the dark room for a round, then disband the team and find their own mothers. Zhou Heiyi, on the other hand, is encouraging his teammates to persevere. Soon they will become the overlords of the planet and enjoy good food and drink. Therefore, at first glance, everyone in this team looks like a wind-up tool, immersed in their respective positions. That energy is very reassuring. Nise is also very satisfied with Tao, she works harder than anyone else. As expected of S-, she is the one who controls the overall situation, she is the one who directs, she is the prospector, and she is also the main force in the delicate work of separating ore. Their data is already close to 6th place. According to this momentum, it should not be a problem to enter the top 4 in the next 2 days. Ness narrowed his eyes. He just likes to work hard. I like people who just keep their heads down and work. I like people who are neither arrogant nor impetuous, simple and honest. He gave an order. Later, Tao Ran, who had been staring at the robot's monitor, soon discovered that when she submitted the newly separated ore, the robot's calculation data almost doubled. How could she not know the purity level of this ore? Not as good as the previous one. The last one only added 60, this one added 110? It would be nice to get 50 for this piece. Tisk. The official is helping her to fake it? Soon, Zhou Heiyi also discovered something was wrong. The official nutrient supplements provided during the competition are mid-level nutrient supplements. If you want to upgrade the nutrient supplements, your team will need to spend money. But before he even plucked a hair, he discovered that what the robot had just provided was an advanced nutritional supplement. He glanced at Taoran secretly. Taoran buried his head, pretending not to know, and tightly shut his mouth. Taoran was overjoyed. Fortunately, we caught the official's heart in advance. Otherwise, if they use robots to cheat, they will be unable to guard against it. Even if they are very capable, they will not be able to win the first place. But you still have to work hard. If you can't make it to the top 4, it's all for nothing. Sure enough, the robot helped them this time. Nothing like this happened after that. It seems that the preferential treatment just now is just an illusion, a loophole, and a mistake. Taoran felt that this should be a signal from Ness to express his optimism and encourage them. At this moment, Taoran has basically adapted to the environment. This is also because of the seal of the wood spirit. In short, he is no longer affected by the spiritual energy. But what she can be sure of is that the entire mining area is rich in spiritual veins. The reason why these spiritual energies have not been discovered before is because the official isolation barrier has been set up here. In the 8th area, the spiritual energy she sensed should also come from the spiritual stone mine. Maybe there are spiritual mines under those garbage mountains. Who knows? By the end of the second day of the game, Joheiya's team had already caught up. They are now in 5th place, just a few kilograms away from 4th. One day is enough. In the end, they lived up to expectations and successfully advanced to 4th place. During this period, because they were far ahead of 5th place, everyone took turns to rest for a few hours to save energy for the next game. The Luxi team still won the 1st place with an absolute advantage. The 4th day comes, 4 into 2, the main rules remain the same, but the mining range is reduced by half, and all ores are recounted. Recounting this item is obviously aimed at the Luxi team. As soon as the competition started, Taoran Guang now received verification information from an unknown account. Her optical brain number is almost never exposed. Obviously, the only people who come to join her are people from Ness. Taoran laughed. This was reassurance. The officials are very trustworthy and have already finalized their decision. What did you say? Joheiya looked at his bare brain and found nothing. Just one thing, if you need help, you can use this number to ask for help. Then help. No. This time, Taoran led the team to stabilize the result at 3rd place. Only with 4 hours left before the end of the 4-2 game did they suddenly exert their strength. It turned out that they had locked and drilled the target ore long ago, but never made the final cut and submission. They also played a perfect coordination and used their performance to make everyone, including the 2nd place team, think that they had been left behind and that there was nothing they could do. After many training, the team members all had good acting skills. They scratched their heads, sighed, and successfully deceived others. By the time the 2nd place team discovered that they were catching up, overtaking, and leaving their own team behind at a rate of almost 1 submission every 5 minutes, there was no way back. Taoran and the others successfully reached the top 2. Taoran went to the tent and sent 2 messages using his optical brain to avoid surveillance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 601. The final game begins. This time, Taoran's team no longer retained any strength. They were at full strength, competing head-on with the Luxi team. Of course they could have asked the authorities to help them cheat, but they didn't. In addition to their strength, they are also extremely lucky. In the finals, in addition to clearing the previous results, there is one more type of ore that needs to be submitted. As for the new ore that needs to be submitted, God has simply thrown a big pie into Taoran's hands. At first, Taoran foolishly used his mental power to find this dark ore. Later, she accidentally discovered that not only was the ore hidden deep, but almost everywhere it existed was accompanied by spiritual stones. While searching, she quickly confirmed that this new mine was the accompanying stone of the Spirit Stone. In other words, what the official wants is the circle of black rock surrounding the outer layer of the spiritual stone. But the officials did not need the green and moist Spirit Stone. Buy a casket and give it back a pearl? Taoran's mind was full of this word. Is it because people in the interstellar era don't know spiritual stones? Or is this black rock more useful? But in short, because of this discovery, the process of exploring this black rock has become easy. Taoran simply let go of the seal. Then, she could immediately instinctively sense which area had the highest concentration of spiritual energy, the largest range, the area closest to her, the area closest to the surface, and the best area to mine. Cheating. She didn't care about the other ores. She put Muguang in charge of several other ores, while she followed the Spirit Stone wholeheartedly. The instinct of her body and soul made her eagerly create the first piece of black rock the size of a basketball. Zhou Heiya was busy submitting, while Taoran eagerly cut 2 green spiritual stones with a light knife and grabbed them in his hand. Instantly, my body felt warm and comfortable, and I felt that my whole body was full of strength. Why are you standing there dazed? Keep going. For 10 minutes, she was intoxicated by the spiritual energy, and was pushed twice by Zhou Heiya before she woke up. In the world of cultivating immortals, the Spirit Stone mines all appeared in one vein, but not here. It turned out to be scattered, piece by piece, with no rules, so mining was a bit troublesome. Taoran, full of energy, got to work. She found several black mines one after another, with a 100% success rate. The light brain began to vibrate. It's the account that was added before. The other person actually took the initiative to say that he was Ness and asked her how she was able to find the black mine accurately. Taoran was stunned. Only then did they discover that on the robot's display, they had submitted more than 10 kilograms of black ore, while Lu 11 and the others had only opened less than 3 kilograms until now. Lu 11 and the others have so much experience and have only gained so much, which means that this thing is difficult to sense, right? Obviously I was too excited and was hasty. Taoran felt keenly that this black mine was unusual. Everyone in the team knew the previous 4 ores and said they were of average value. But as for this black mine, no one seems to be able to tell exactly why. Even Zhou Heiya only said that he seemed familiar. Thinking of Ness taking the initiative to ask questions, Taoran suddenly realized that maybe this black ore was what the government really wanted to mine. You must know that the Kot star is a garbage star, the lowest star level. The produce here should be of little value. But there is still mining here. And no one has ever known what kind of mine Kot star sold or who bought the mine. The value of the minerals must exceed that of interstellar shipping to be cost-effective, but with such excellent output, why is this place still a junk planet? Why is the government in the mining area? Why do mining areas have special protective barriers? Why is it strictly forbidden for outsiders to enter and exit the mining area? If it were a serious, normal mining operation, wouldn't it be simpler for the government to directly host it and call on all people to participate? But what kind of competition does the official have to do? The answers to these questions seem to be found immediately. Perhaps because these black mines are very important products, the Code government must take them seriously, and it is not easy to obtain surface production. This can explain why it requires a mentally strong person to lead, because it is too difficult to open. This can explain why this sudden extra ore was only exposed when there were only 2 teams left. Because it is inconvenient for too many people to know. Lu 11 and the others must have known about it for a long time, and their team was about to take over the mining rights, so the officials no longer had to hide it. In addition, Ness's lack of composure shows that he cares. I seem to be able to sense the black ore very clearly. Of course, it could also be that there is a lot of black ore in this area and I'm lucky. Chaoran could only reply to Ness. Next, Chaoran obviously slowed down his exploration speed. Every 2 or 3 times, she would pretend to be mentally exhausted and go into the tent to rest for a while, but she was actually meditating. Now there are a large number of inexhaustible spiritual stones around her, and her abundant spiritual energy has almost reached the pinnacle of her life. Although Muguang lags far behind Lu 11 and others in finding other ores, Daoran's advantage in exploring black ores is far greater than that of his opponents. After half a day, the total scores of the two teams were evenly matched. Lu 11 also finally understood that the previous Zhou team had been pretending to be pigs and eating tigers. They had been deceived many times, fooled by others, and spent a lot of money to help this group of scumbags get to where they are today. Step. In vain, when he just saw that the other team entering the finals was that gang of scoundrels, he laughed for a long time, secretly cursing that the little fairy must have used a honey trap to get into the finals. How embarrassing it was. As everyone knows, it's you who is actually embarrassed. Being fooled like this, you lose all face. Lu 11 was so angry that he bared his teeth and wished he could lead his brothers to destroy that team in a matter of seconds. He sneered and went to the tent and contacted Zhou Heiyi with his light brain. The first time, no one answered. The second time, no one answered. By the third time, he was blocked. Zhou Heiyi. How dare he? Lu 11 was furious. He would never swallow this tone. He led his brothers to open the mine with all his strength. He wants to crush him again. But he found that he couldn't do it. Even if he tried his best and had his S-class mental power fully unleashed, he still couldn't seem to close the gap. The opponent always kept the gap with them at about 2 kilograms. That kind of frustration and helplessness made all his brothers very depressed. Their morale was low, and for the first time, they were overtaken by their opponent. The opponent's strength is always higher than they expected. This time, Lu 11 was really anxious. He even began to change his previous arrogant attitude and sent a message to the government, expressing his willingness to talk and asking for a chance. Not only did he say that he would be obedient in the future, he would restrain himself, and he would start mining seriously. He also talked about the status of Zhou Heiyi's team. When he wanted to recruit little fairies before, he investigated Zhou Heiyi. Now, he simply told everything he knew, what Zhou Heiyi did in order to seize territory, who in their team were gangsters, especially that little fairy, what kind of fraudster she was. He said that if these people were allowed to get the mining rights, the mining area would be in chaos and chaos. He said that the little fairy was playing tricks on others, and the secrets of the mining area would definitely not be hidden in the future. He said that there was a lot of internal strife in Zhou Heiyi's team. If it falls apart, it will affect the official profits. However, there was no reaction at all from Ness. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, there was still no reply, and Lu 11 became even more impatient. The game has reached a critical moment, and it is impossible for Nice not to pay attention. He must have received those messages, so he just didn't plan to reply. This shows that the officials would rather choose the team that gathers bad guys than be determined to give up on themselves. Lu 11's mentality was a little broken. This also directly caused their mining progress to further slow down. He was so anxious that he could not think about the competition. Another 2 hours passed, and they were already more than 10 kilograms behind Zhou Heiyi's team. In the official live broadcast of the game, their team was scolded so much that their ancestors' graves were smoking. The whole network scolded. In the entire COD, as long as they participate in betting, 99% of them will lose. They are so strong, but they can't even win against a third-rate team that is a big upset and has never mined before. How can they not be scolded? At the end of the first half, the Luxi team was already 22 kilograms behind. Lu 11 still couldn't contact the official people. Not only Nice, but even Nice's subordinates didn't like him. Start the backup plan, Lu 11 stood up. At halftime, there is an hour's break. During this hour, in order to allow them to adjust properly, the official will not conduct a live broadcast. That's enough. 15 minutes later, Lu 11's brother who was staying at the base sent a message saying that the first step of the plan went smoothly and had been successful, and he cut a picture of it. Ruthie grinned. He contacted Joheiya again and found that he was still blocked. None of his brothers could contact anyone on that team. Look, where is Joheiya's team now? When Lu 11 ordered, he winked at his deputy. His deputy nodded to him and said it would only take 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, the deputy came back, patted his chest, and Ruthie smiled again. He also received news that Joheiya and the others had been traveling from the northwest corner to the middle mining area, which was only 3 kilometers away from them. Let's go meet him. Lu Ziguang already had the cursor on Joheiya's mind. He waved at the deputy, and the two rushed out. Lu 11 is indeed one of the few capable people in the entire Kot planet. Not only does he have mental strength, but he also has a physical fitness. Although his deputy was mentally weak, he was physically stronger than him. It would take most people more than 15 minutes to run 3 kilometers on flat ground, but it took the two men less than 8 minutes to run 3 kilometers in a straight line on mountainous terrain. Lu 11 wanted to laugh so much, God helped him. Before he even approached the opponent's camp, he saw Joheiya smoking behind a rock. So, when Lu 11 suddenly appeared and put one hand on Joheiya's shoulder and the other hand on his waist, Joheiya's whole body softened. Lu 11's hands and feet were very fast, dragging Joheiya behind a boulder in just 1 second. The deputy nodded, indicating that no one saw the situation. Are you so cowardly? Lu 11 spat. How dare you play tricks on me if you are so cowardly? You, what are you going to do? Joheiya panicked and pointed at the robot not far away. You saw, as soon as I call, the robot will come over, and you can't escape. You won't call. Lu 11 pressed his head down. What did Joheiya see? What he carried on his waist turned out to be a photon gun. Didn't you check before entering? How did you bring the gun in? Ha ha ha, Lu 11 patted him on the back of the head. You don't know how many years I have been in this area. You know that the official has plans. I have a lot of hidden tricks in this entire mining area. What do you want? I'll show you something else. Lu 11 took out the optical brain and cut out the screen. What's in the picture is Joheiya's home. The second best's mother, and two brothers who were not very good in physical fitness and were left to look after the house were all tied up and thrown in a corner. Additionally, a gun was pointed at them. Lu 11 said to the other side, let them report to Joheiya that they are safe. Boss, the second strongman over there saw Joheiya. Boss, save us. They have occupied our base, and they also planted explosives. They said that if you don't obey, you will be imprisoned for many years. All the efforts were in vain. Explosives, Joheiya muttered, and then saw the tubes of explosives tied around in the picture. A fierce guy smiled at the camera. The explosives we prepared are enough to destroy your entire neighborhood in 1 second. Haha. Joheiya saw again that the walls of his courtyard were all tied with explosives. His house is in the center of his jurisdiction. If it exploded, it would mean that not only his decades of savings, property, and the remains of the Brotherhood would be wiped out, but even the residents in his jurisdiction would have a hard time surviving. Beast, he glared at Lucy. Lu 11 slapped him directly. You still don't understand. If you do this, you will also be held accountable. If I don't get the mining rights, I won't end up well. So I might as well take a gamble. What do you think? Every wrongdoer has his own debtor, and those people are innocent. Please show mercy. Of course. You're right, why would I want those people's lives? Just tell me what you want. Of course all I want is the mining rights. You withdraw your people and defuse the explosives, and I will withdraw from the fight. But I can't trust you. Then what do you want? In this case, you call Tauba over, and then I will let you and your people go. What are you going to do to her? Don't worry, I won't kill her. I know that you have all relied on her to get to this point. As long as she is in my hands, I guarantee that all of you will be safe. Then you announce that you are not feeling well and have withdrawn from the competition. This matter is over. Of course he was lied to. Keep Tao or else have it in hand. Waiting for her to testify against herself? Are you stupid? Tao is the mastermind of the opposing team and must be eliminated. And only the dead will not fight back. Lu 11's plan was to ask Zhou Heiya to call Tao Ran over. Once she gets here, they will take advantage of her when she is not prepared. Their photon guns are equipped with silencers and will make no noise. Zhou Heiya was afraid of their guns and did not dare to come blindly. Shoot Tao otherwise, take her body away, and dump it somewhere at random on the way back. For example, if they were thrown into a ravine or buried directly in a mine, it would be difficult to find them for a while, and then they would quickly evacuate. Zhou Heiya is worried about his hometown and brothers, so he will not dare to talk nonsense and will take the initiative to withdraw from the competition. Even if he ate the bear's heart and leopard's gall to testify against them, there was no evidence that they had ever been there. And without Tao Buran, what would Zhou Heiya's team have to fear? Once the opponent withdraws from the competition, the officials can't go back on their word, the mining rights are still theirs. 2 chapters in 1. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 602. Everything is under control, and Lu 11 is satisfied. I looked at the time and saw that there was still half an hour before the rest time ended, which was more than enough. Zhou Heiya was trembling with the photon gun pressed against his lower back. He could only call Tao Ran with his photon brain and ask her to come out. Tao Ran came out of the tent 15 seconds later, looked around, and then saw the captain standing behind the rocks waving his hands one after another. Coming. Tao Ran walked forward step by step. Lu 11 looked out through the cracks in the rocks, a smile blooming on her face. If this woman wasn't too difficult to get, he really wanted to take her home and have a child. What a shame. He glanced at the deputy, who was hiding behind the stone diagonally opposite, and moved his joints, preparing to pull the trigger as soon as Tao or else stepped over to the stone. 30 meters. 20 meters. 10 meters. But, the woman suddenly stopped standing still. Not only that, she also looked towards the side, her eyes suddenly darkened, and she grinned. That smile was too bright and weird. At that moment, Lu 11 was shocked. He noticed something was wrong and subconsciously looked at the deputy, and then saw the red dot on the deputy's forehead. How could he not know what the red dot is? He didn't have time to inform or even give him a look, but he saw that the deputy's eyes were widened and his eyebrows were blooming. The next second, his hand holding the photon gun was also hit, and he fell down. Is there an ambush? Still a scam? Lu 11 didn't have a chance to think. He subconsciously followed the sniper at the light spot, and his first reaction was to grab Zhou Heiya and drag him forward, intending to use it to block the attack. But it's too late. His right hand holding the gun was numb, and the photon gun fell to the ground. He also had a sharp pain in his leg, he had been shot twice. But how could he give up easily? His left hand immediately went to pick up the gun, but someone was one step faster than him. It turned out to be Zhou Heiya, who was fighting against the 5 scumbags. This girl was smiling at him with big white teeth. Lu 11 was shocked. His physical strength is several levels stronger than Zhou Heiyi's. Even if he is injured, his mobility cannot be slower than his. So there is only one possibility: Zhou Heiyi, this piece of trash, does not react quickly or predict quickly, but he already knew that he would drop his gun and was ready to take it. When she realized this, Lu 11 was stunned. So this whole thing is a trap. A trap waiting for you to fall for it? At this moment, not only was Zhou Heiyi standing in front of him with a gun raised, he also saw red dots on the back of his left hand. He felt that his neck and forehead were also being targeted. The corner of his eye told him that his deputy was dead. And he definitely doesn't want to be like the deputy. Lu 11 raised his hands and fell directly on his back, surrendering and admitting defeat. Then, he saw Tao Buran's face appear on the rock where he had just ambushed. Her smile grew wider. Anyone who wants to harm me will not end well. Lu 11 laughed. Are you plotting against me? What a trick. We can't talk about it, right? If you don't come to harm me, even if I dig countless holes, who will jump into it? Let's talk. Lucy forced herself to calm down. He still has one last card. Don't forget, your base, your brothers and residents are still in my hands. Our Luda overlord has such an innocent side. Tao Ran clicked his tongue, smiling like a flower. Since I am here waiting for you to come to your door, how could I forget my rear position? Lu 11's face trembled. Could it be that, the rear, also? Zhou Heiyi handed Lu 11's deputy's gun on the ground and handed it to Tao Ran. He stepped forward and slapped Lu 11 twice. You beast! Zhou Heiyi searched his body and made sure he had no other weapons before turning on his optical brain and contacting Erpai. When Erpai's voice shouting boss happily and excitedly floated out from the optical brain, Lu 11 knew that it was over, completely over. In the optical brain screen, Lu 11 saw that several of the brothers he had sent out were being thrown into a closed explosion-proof vehicle by robots, while Erpai and his gang were all beaming and directing the official personnel to dismantle the explosives. Ruthie closed her eyes. His glory is over. Overhead, a huge roar was approaching. An aircraft has arrived. 30 seconds later, it was Nanas who got off the aircraft. Tao Ran just cooperated with the government after grasping the official psychology. Her only request from the government is for protection. Protection during the game, as well as protection at the rear. Tao Ran had known for a long time that Lu 11's test was not going to be easy. If you want to win the mining rights, you will definitely be intercepted, not to mention that there is an old grudge between them, and they will most likely be retaliated. And how could their team be a match for the Luxi team that had been the hegemon for 10 years? If they want to protect themselves, they can only borrow help. As for the entire Cot planet, the only ones who can deal with Lu 11 and the others are the officials. In order to prevent long days and long dreams, Tao Ran felt early on that he must cooperate with the authorities. In fact, this was the main and core reason why she had to take Zhou Heiyi to find the official that day. She had to ensure safety before she would fight for the first place. Tao Ran succeeded in making Nisa's heart flutter. After entering the semi-finals, Ness came to add her number. Shortly after that, they finalized their plan on the optical brain. The officials have long wanted to deal with Lu 11's team, but the other party has been very careful and has never left any clues. The officials needed a reason to deal with Lu 11 justly, while Tao Ran hoped to help the team deal with Lu 11 once and for all. At this point, the two sides are in perfect agreement, so cooperation is natural. Officials are constantly shrinking the map in order to allow the two teams to meet early and create convenience for Lu 11 to take risks. Tao Ran and the others have been oppressing Lu 11 with data, stimulating his anxiety, asking Zhou Heiyi to blackmail Lu 11, making him even more angry, creating public opinion, and making Lu 11 lose face and panic. Even the reason why the two teams are only 3 kilometers apart is because Tao Ran deliberately moved the team this way, just to facilitate Lu 11's delivery. At the end of the half, Taoran's team unceremoniously overtook the score by a lot. They knew that Lu 11, who did not want the mining rights to be lost, had no other choice and he would definitely do something. And they have already made plans. From their camp to the main camp of the 4th district, the official people were already in place, waiting for Lu 11 to come to their door with conclusive evidence. After Taoran assured Zhou Heiya that Lu 11 would only threaten him and would never harm him rashly, the big actor Zhou took his place. Her acting skills, which she has become famous for recently, successfully deceived the nervous Lu 11. There is no surprise at all. As victims, they have solved their major problems. Nais crouched down in front of Lu 11 with his hands behind his back, and finally gave a calm order, "Announce it, the game is over, the winner is Zhou Heiya's team. Also, the reason will be announced in 10 minutes.